Good evening, my name is Casey Keener. I am a student at Los Angeles Harbor College, and this is my assignment for my communications class. Today we're going to talk about why it's important to have a part of your investment portfolio in precious metals. One of the interesting things about precious metals is it's actually been used as a currency for a very long time all around the world. Traditionally, even the United States at one point, all the way up into the 70s, was on the gold standard. And all the way up into the 60s, used silver money, just like this. This is a peace dollar. It was 90% silver. We used this as a form of our currency. And in the 60s and the 70s, we moved away from having our currency back to this metal, which is a finite resource, into what we call now a fiat currency, or paper money. And this has kind of been problematic for the United States. In quite a few ways. One of the ways it has been problematic is that the United States has been able to keep printing money all the time, whenever they want, without much consequence. At least that's what they want you to believe. The truth is, when you begin to print money, it causes something called inflation. And the most simplified way for me to explain inflation to you is that as the dollar is printed more, as we make more dollars, and it's not attached to anything, the dollar is worth less. So in truth, since we went off the gold and silver standard, the dollar has devalued about 94 cents. So the buying power, they call it, of the dollar has devalued somewhere in the neighborhood of 94 cents. What this means is that it takes more dollars to buy the same thing that it used to take less dollars to buy. So you will see this when you walk into a grocery store. Your groceries take more money than it used to buy groceries. The same thing with gas right now. We're seeing a large increase in gas. And a lot of economists today believe that's because of inflation. At this point, you might be asking me, why then precious metals? The reality is that precious metals are a finite resource, and gold especially is interesting. Gold is not only a finite resource, but gold is just gold. It doesn't get really made into much. So at about right now $1,800 an ounce for gold, we basically convert our money into gold. We let it sit in a safe deposit box and hope it rises. Silver's a lot different. Silver not only is a precious metal, but it's an industrial use metal, meaning that, for instance, it takes a lot of silver right now to make a solar panel. And why that is important is because after the lifetime of that solar panel is over, historically that solar panel gets thrown in a dump, and the silver that we use to create it gets thrown in with it. We're looking at recycling programs now here in the United States, but we don't have any at this moment, at least not any of any significance. So moving forward, there is silver that comes out of the ground and gets turned into stuff like this, investment now grade silver that looks like coins, bars, they call them rounds. But there is also industrial use silver. So silver especially is in a very unique place. The second reason silver is in a unique place is because we believe it's undervalued. Let me say this for a second. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just my opinion. But the reality is there's been a lot of proven manipulation of the silver price. We know that JP Morgan Chase just got hit with millions and millions of dollars in fines for manipulating silver. They actually got hit with the RICO charge is what it was. They got hit with the RICO charge for manipulating the price of silver. So a lot of people right now are investing in silver with the hopes that we're going to find a true valuation of what an ounce of silver is worth. That is not really the case with gold. However, gold is more stable and silver is more volatile. And there's some other precious metals too, like platinum, palladium, rhodium, ruthenium. But these two, gold and silver, tend to be the go-to for investments. And traditionally, a lot of people would say when you're trying to decide on how you're going to save money for the rest of your life, you should be putting 10% at least into the precious metals market. Also, I believe you should own physical metal, which means stuff you could hold in your hand and not paper, which means through the stock market. There's a saying in the precious metal community, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So it's very important if there was a run on the market and you go to say, hey, I want my silver, and everyone else says the same thing, it's just easier to have it in your hands. So these are some of the reasons I think owning precious metals is important for the future, and I think truly what we're going to see is we might actually see the fiat dollar, the actual dollar bill you have in your wallet, begin to fail. And there's a lot of ways you could look into this. They call it doing your due diligence. I always highly encourage people to look into this kind of stuff themselves. They could see how much Jerome Powell right now the Fed is printing. You could see what the value of buying power of a dollar is worth right now. You can check on prices and see historically through charts what spot prices are doing. And I highly encourage people to do that. If nothing else, it just makes sense when looking toward your future and creating stability for yourself and generations to come. Thank you for letting me share, and thanks for having a good evening.